Man, hold up.
My
It's your
bad.
boy. look at you. It's your boy K Jizzle.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Rob Rich, man. It's the Car Chronicles. We live.
Man, we up in here, man. It's gonna be another exciting show. I'm telling you. We're gonna get a lot of information. I got a lot of questions because I want some information. It's always good to learn something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So uh, without no further hold on. Okay, just making sure I was good. Uh, without no further ado, let me say this. I will say this. I have been looking on her page, and I saw that one thing that she does is the youth, and by her being a teacher, I am so curious because I have a child of kids myself,
definitely
and
myself.
I want to know how to better them and get them ready. Plus, she entrepreneuring, going and getting it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I can't say nothing. But without no further ado, I want to say I'm bringing on. Welcome to the show, Carla Fears. I want to make sure I said it right. Oh,
Yeah.
that was my fault. You didn't remind me. It's a tradition that we do. I'm sorry. Yes, yes. So first off, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show.
Definitely.
Um, I thank you for coming on here because I feel like this is gonna help us bridge a gap between us as younger adults to help us also understand things in life and raising our own kids.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Could you tell our people a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I was born and raised here in Texas, and of course, by the way of the Army, my husband was in the Army for almost 25 years, and so we left the country for about 12 of those years and lived in Germany and California, and then was able to come back to Texas after that, and so just the military life. And then we came here to Killeen and just to settle and to be close to family, which I have family in Dallas area. Everyone used to live out in West Texas, the Lubbock area and all that, where we went to school and stuff. And then my grandparents, when they passed away, and my grandfather was the last one to pass, then my family just really started migrating to the Dallas area. I had left Lubbock actually and went to the Dallas area and ended up meeting my husband while there. And then we left, and while we were going to Germany, everybody moved up that way. So I have four children, two grown and gone. I have two girls here at home. I have a senior in high school. My other
Mm.
daughter's also an entrepreneur, and she started her business at 16 and everything. So and then my son, he lives up in Dallas, and my other son he's gone, and so it's just been a place where the homestead. I actually started working civil service almost 15 years, a little shy of 15 years for the civil service, and then when my husband retired, I always wanted to teach school, but because we were gone so long and moving around, I thought it best to wait until we were settled. And so I was like, man, he started truck driving and loving it. And I was like, can I do something I want to do? He's like, what
Huh.
is that? And I always loved to work with children, whether it was in Sunday school or, youth or just stopping kids in the grocery store or my kids' own friends, coming over. And we had a lot of kids in and out of this door, especially when my husband was deployed a couple of times because he said, hey, if I get you closer to home, I'm going to be gone. And so that's how we ended up here, and then just getting involved with the kids and getting involved with people in the community and being involved with their schools. And then I started teaching and really learning alongside some of the same teachers that taught my kids. So that was pretty neat.
Wow.
Yeah.
She answered one of my questions right there. See that? um, so teacher. Okay, so can you tell me how how has your experience as a parent and entrepreneur influenced your approach as a school teacher?
Good
Okay,
question.
well, I think with I've always had a hot side hustle, no matter where we were in
Oh,
Germany. Even before I met my husband, I was always doing something to make money on the side. I think that was probably my first calling. I come from a family of entrepreneurs and businesswomen, and my grandmother, rustled cattle and had
mm,
chickens on the farm and owned land that she was able to pass on. So I think it's just naturally there, and I've always wanted to do something. And I think with my children seeing that, um, um, they couldn't help but to kind of get into it themselves or know a little bit about it or would help me out and stuff like that. I think being an entrepreneur and being a teacher, I definitely do believe that they correlate because you're having to interact with people. You're having to I think the mindset is a little different. The I do a lot of growth mindset in my classroom. I
mm,
think that that growth mindset also has to carry over because if you're an entrepreneur or person, a business person or period, if you're ambitious and you're going after things that may not be that obtainable or it's obtainable only through really hard work and perseverance, I think that um, you have to have that mindset and that mentality the same way we tell our children and the children at school that I teach that you can do anything that if you put your mind to it. And I think it goes even deeper than that, that you can do anything if you change your mind to it, because a lot of times we can put our minds to things, but if we have that mindset or that mentality of negativity, talking ourselves down, not believing in ourselves, because it starts with believing in ourselves first before we can move on and to do something of greatness. Because boy, you'll have many people tell you you can't do something. My kids will I'll walk by their desk and I know they probably think this woman is crazy, but I almost want to snatch them up when I walk by the desk. I can't do it, or it's hard. What? And I just, I was like, what did you say? I can't do it yet.
Mm,
That's how you say that. You change your mind, you change your thinking. I can't do it yet. And so we start out those first week, especially that first week of school, of that with that growth mindset, them getting to know my mentality because I'm a little bit crazy, and then them getting to know me and just those expectations and things like that and stuff. And so every year it's different. The children that come along, different mindset, different. The generations are changing. I started
mm,
teaching. This is my 8th year
yeah.
teaching, and I started out in secondary, and now I'm in elementary. And the elementary students that I teach are almost no different than the sixth, seventh, and eighth graders that I taught before. It's just that sometimes the way you say things or how you have to handle them is a little bit more with care and ease, I guess, because they're a little bit more sensitive. And so I think with this day and age, with everything, with everyone, we have to be so careful what we say, so careful what we do, and especially in the classroom now. That sometimes I know me, I say that to all the teachers out there. I think that educators that have faced that, I haven't faced it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's coming because of, my mouth and sometimes my attitude. But I just feel like kids are gonna get right in my classroom. They're gonna, you either do right or you don't. It's a choice. But we're not gonna disrupt my atmosphere. We're not gonna change the energy of my room. But you will learn. You can learn. I have students that are very, very low as far as academically, reading and writing and math and things like that. But I look forward to every day, each and every week, just watching them grow because they can learn. Some of them just need that somebody to invest the time.
I agree.
The children need that. True.
They're
So
definitely
true.
our future.
Shout out Markel Lane. That's my dude right there.
Yes. Hey, Michael.
That's my dude right there, man. He got a lot of knowledge. I be trying to get at him so I can pick his brain, but
Yes.
it is. But yeah, you got a question because you know I can't hear you. You
There you go. I'm sorry.
okay?
Yeah, he asked the question of what grade did she teach, but I was going to ask the importance of teaching the entrepreneurship early. How has you seen it affect any of students that you've seen, go past the grade? And then how has it personally affected your kids about the entrepreneurship, learning it so early and it's in the house, helping them, like you say, the ones that are outside the house and things like that?
hmm I think that I think more so of the mindset. I think that I've had students where more so with the gifts that they have as far as writing, maybe poetry,
Mm,
rapping. You have the kids all the time. I had a class a couple of years ago that several of the boys, all they would like to do was just beat on the table and make beats and stuff. And I didn't do it with with those students, but I came up with a poem that
mm,
we called it Fearless Minds. And so I put together the words and we learned it at the beginning of the year. And those guys, the same ones that were always beating on the desk with their pencils and things like that, they ended up putting a beat to it. So one class, two of the classes made beat to it, and one class actually made it into a song.
oh,
And I found out the ones that could sing, the ones that could rap, the ones that could, just the beat of anything, just freestyling. And so poetry, we would get to poetry. I love poetry. I also do a little bit of spoken word and I write and things like that. And just having a microphone in the classroom and a speaker, just really, it may not be more so of entrepreneur per se, but it also taps into those gifts and talents that kids have. Because sometimes
absolutely.
I think, we as educators, we want them to sit down, learn, take a test, learn, take a test, learn, take a test. But at some point, if you're building relationships with your children, you begin to see what they're good at, where their
Mm,
talents lie. And I have a couple in my homeroom right now that they just wrote a song one day, one afternoon, and we had some downtime and they were working on it. Came back from lunch, they were still working on, and at the end of the day, they were like, "Can I sing it to you?" And I'm like, "Sure."
mhm.
Found that they had beautiful voices. I said, "Okay,
Wow.
time to dust off the microphone," So I think that I think with the kids, when you speak to them in that way and you find out what their gifts and talents are, I think it encourages them that first of all that my teacher sees me, she
Mm,
hears me, and she loves me. Because I think that anytime we allow our children to, whether it be in our house or in, children that we teach or influence or even mentor, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want someone to know that there's something that I can do outside of the normal routine, the normal hustle and bustle. My daughter made her first wig at 16, and she made it for her birthday. And then she posted on her Instagram, and everybody like, "Oh, I want that." So I was like, "Okay, well, maybe you can start making them for other people." And so she ran with that, and it was one of those things where, she says, "I want a business. I want to own a business." And then there's my other two, that just want to go to college. So you have to know which children do what and what they're gifted at. And I think, especially we as a society, we always want our kids to go and get that paper,
mm,
and that's fine. But at the same time, don't forget about what they're gifted at. Don't forget what their passion is. And a lot of them do go to school for what they're passionate about. But some of them go to school, and then in the back of their minds, they're wishing that they could have went for what they were passionate about or do, but they want to please mom and dad.
mm.
And I'm an educator saying that everybody does not have to go to college. Everybody is not college material.
Mic drop. I, I I would probably agree with that. I'm just everybody learns differently, so I can understand that.
Yeah. Don't go to college and waste your parents' money. You know, don't go to college and party and have to be sent home. But if there's something that you can do, that you can tap in and that you can make a living for yourself, there's so many, like Steve Jobs. I mean, the creator of Apple. I think, I mean, he didn't go to college. They were working and figuring out things in their garage. So there's so many things that don't have a college education. Tyler Perry doesn't have a college education, and
That's true.
he owns his own movie or production studio. He bought
I didn't
acres of
know that.
land on
I
the
didn't
very
know.
well, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I think that also too, if we know our children and parents, don't get me wrong, don't go around saying Miss Fear said. What I'm saying is know what your children are passionate about. If the route is to college, always remind them that what they're good at, what you see, and that they know that they see you. And if they, for some reason, come back and after a year or two and say, you know what, this isn't for me, say, okay, because let them find their path and make their choice. But don't try to live your dream through them. Here we are, kid, we trying to make kids jump off of balance beams and flip and flop across the floor and stuff because we tried to do it and we couldn't do it. And then we want to force our children, and that young lady or that young man is not into that. But we're just driving them, just driving them in the van, just taking them to practice, and just like, constantly hovering over them, making them want to do things and know that it's not their passion.
Yeah,
Just help them find it. Help them find it.
that is true. That's real.
I don't know if
It's
I answered the question, but
Yeah, that
well, I know this. She answered mine that I was finna hit her with one and she just cleared that up. See, I done lost track. I was finna ask the
well, I
um
can say one of my students, shout out to Marquise Collins. I have to do it. Marquise Collins was one of my students at middle school when I taught. And boy, I'm telling you, that young man, ooh, you talking about rough around the collars. He gave me a run for my money. Sometimes he made me wake up thinking, do I really want to go to this classroom today? But I must say that his dad stepped in, took him down to College Station. He already had the grades, and that's the only way really I could tap into him. He was very athletic, but he had just, and he don't mind me sharing it because I've shared it before. He just had a cocky attitude. The coaches couldn't stand to see him coming. I'm
mm,
like, bruh, how are you going to play for somebody's team? And you think, the team has an E in it, not an I. All about you. It's not all about you. Pass the ball sometime. And
facts.
boy, when the coaches finally sat him down, because he was good, but they had to sit him down for a while, you would have thought he lost his mind.
uh,
And they fell on some times, and Dad had to come get him and remove him from here, and take him down to College Station. I drove through on the way home. Montgomery, Texas, is my home, and I would stop. And one time I stopped and I found him and took him, and another student of mine was living down there with them. Took them to dinner, and we just talked and everything. And he had ended up getting hurt, and he's like, I mean, looking at all the schools were looking at him, but he recovered and he still kept his spot. You guys, he plays for Duke. He plays football for Duke on a scholarship.
that's awesome.
That's what's up.
But he had to change that mindset, y'all. He was not a team player at all. He just thought that he was the best. I mean, he's good, but he had to learn again. He had to change his mind to change his life.
You know what? You just keep answering every question. I was finna say, can you share a memorable moment, teaching experience, and a story that landed someone a career? And you answered it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I must express the fact of that you are saying the words. a word that I always tell people that means the most, which is mindset. Without the
Mm,
right mindset, you will not be able to accomplish nothing.
right.
Because it's like you're spinning your wheels and you're just sitting there.
Mhm.
You got all the right things to do the right you, and I'm basically talking about myself. I had all the right stuff, but
Mhm.
I just fell short on my choices. But that was
Mhm.
because the mindset was not right.
Mhm.
So therefore I made I made bad choices.
Right.
But I that is one thing I must say is that you keep saying mindset. No matter where we go, you keep saying that word
Mhm.
mindset. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm starting to understand.
Mhm. And I mean, it had, it has to be because our kids are growing up um, in a society now where they're seeing everything, they're hearing everything, they're doing everything. Things that I didn't even think was imaginable at my age. My mama would have beat my ass. Oh, is this censored?
You can't, we really don't, but I know what you I know what you
She would have beat my butt. And if she didn't do it, my grandmother would have done it. And I just think that um, with so much going on, I think that now there it can be I don't know, it just comes to mind. It can be you could be such a taskmaster and guard your children to the point where you don't let them do anything. I don't think that's good either. Because when they get out there and they get a chance to do something, boy, they are going,
ah
yes, they'll go crazy. But at the same time, I think that you talk to your children consequently. If you see them doing something or feel them do something or experiences, like my kids, my daughter just yesterday on the ride home, we had went, I forget where we had went, and we were talking, and she was talking about the stuff going on with Israel and Palestine, and it's just so deep to hear a teenager's perspective of it all, and them being able to talk freely and to share and to learn from them. And I said, well, wow, baby, I never thought about it like that, or this and that. And just to hear them talk about different things, or going back and saying, well, mom, I remember a time when you didn't let us do this, or I couldn't do this, or you didn't take care of that, and you didn't take, and and it hurts hearing it, but at the same time going ahead and being that parent that listens, so you can learn and say, okay, baby, I'm so sorry. I did not know that that bothered you like that. I didn't realize that I was doing that or I had been doing that, and then just try to make it better, and not saying that letting your children have have their way, or they don't talk to me any kind of way. That's not what I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but sometimes during at the kitchen table or in the car ride home, you know um they just begin to sometimes share things, or I may mention something, and they're like, oh, really? You feel about that? You feel like that now about that? Because I remember when blah blah blah. I said I did. I said that. And so sometimes they'll kind of remind me. I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize. I said, okay, well, if I did that or said that, I am so sorry. I did not, me. And same with my students. There's sometimes when I haven't been able to sleep if I got onto a student, or maybe got into their face, or yelled or raised my voice or something. And I mean, the next day I wake up, and during my quiet time and meditation, I keep thinking about that student. And all I want to do is get to school and apologize. And I tell them from the beginning, respect goes both ways. And you apologize, and sometimes they look at you like, what? And I've had a couple of them just kind of apologize, and they'll come back and you say, you know what, Miss Fears, I was wrong too. I was wrong
mm,
too. I apologize as well. But just showing that mutual respect, and not being, because sometimes as adults we feel like, first of all, we're not wrong. We feel like we're not gonna there's no way I'm gonna apologize to a child. Well, then what you doing at home?
Yeah.
If you're treating your children the way you treat these students, I just wonder about your kids at home.
Yeah.
because it's got to be, there's something that has to transfer over, you know, and I think that being able to apologize when we make mistakes, I think is the biggest and best important lesson that I think we can teach any child, that, you know, we respect them. And a lot of times this generation, that's all they demand is respect. Sometimes they don't know how to give it, so then teach them. It be the example.
Mm, I like that. I like that.
Man, that was a little deep right there, man. That made me think for a second.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. I'm
Just apologize. Apologize for all of it. We know we were wrong. Just apologize. Because you're thinking about some stuff right now. You know
Yep.
you probably need to apologize.
Yep.
You got me over here dying laughing too. That's wrong. That is wrong. Okay, see, we need to get off of that one. We need to go to something else. Let me find something else. Um, yeah, I just went blank. You didn't have to do me like that. Okay, but I I'm confused because the way I look at things, and I'm just being honest. I look at it as when I was coming up, I really did. I thought my parents was really, really strict. I thought they were just, man, Rob, you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Like really, really strict.
Mhm.
And I look at when I was growing up, what I said was, I will never, ever, ever treat my kids the way that I got treated. But I notice now that I'm older, what they did to me built character.
Mhm.
It taught me morals. It taught me how to respect another person, because you have to understand your parents were to me, this is just me, your parents were the first people to teach you, this is my house, you
Mhm.
abide by my rules. So
Mhm.
in other words, they're letting you know no matter where you go in life, there's gonna be a dictator somewhere, a cop. It's somebody over you that can tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is where our generation went wrong. Was we were trying to, man, I'll never do my kids the way my mama did me. Man, my daddy, they wouldn't let me. And then not realizing until later on your child is just
Mhm.
gone.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel, because I said that myself, but I treat my kids like my mama and them treated me.
Mhm.
And I mean, but I will say this. I I believe in what you did say though. I will apologize if I am wrong.
Yeah, me
I
too.
will stop
Mhm.
as soon as I realize, and I will go back to anybody. I'm learning that I have learned that that is the best relief.
Mhm.
Like it's like a burden. Like, okay, at least I know I did try to apologize to this person.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I do really, I agree with you, and I really just feel like we messed up. Us as young adults with kids, we if we would have started doing our kids like y'all done us, I feel like we wouldn't go through this.
Yeah. And I really see, as an educator, that it has to start at home, and I'm seeing that the way, little Susie or little Johnny, I hate to say little Johnny because I had a student named Johnny. So when I found that couldn't refer to, we could, but when you little Susie and little Johnny come to school and throw temper tantrums, and you have to call home, and and they come to school the next day with $130 pair of shoes on, and they come just back to school the next day. I said, "What'd your mom say about the?" "Oh, nothing." I said, "They didn't talk to you about what we talked about yesterday? Did they get my email?" "Oh, I don't think so. I don't know." "So
Mm.
they didn't say anything about you cussing me out yesterday?"
What?
"Oh, no."
Well,
She'll probably
long.
call you, and then they just keep on stepping. I'm just using that as an example because
Oh, because I was gonna say
it is.
I love my job. I was
I wish they
like,
would. I wish they would cuss me out, but we've gotten close. We've gotten close, but no. But I'm just, and then the parent shows up at the school acting the same way.
oh wow.
Association breeds assimilation, whether you give birth to folks or not. The people that you hang around is who you're going to act like. And these kids bring a lot of that. It is hard being a teacher. I had a podcast last night. I was interviewed last night for on the real estate side, and someone the guy said that you should be making more money than everybody up in here with the position that you have. And I said, yeah, they just, they just holding my check, they holding the millions back. But I'm telling you, teaching is hard, and nothing in the world. Teachers are walking away every single day. There is no amount of money that's going to allow people, human people, to put up with the stuff that they've been put up. Because if you're not putting up with it from your kids, you're putting it up with from your coworkers. If you're not putting up with it from your coworkers, you're putting up with it from administration, and then
Yep.
anybody above them. And because it's all about performance, it's about numbers, it's about testing, it's about data. And thank you, Miss Gibson. Yes, we do. We wear so many hats. I think last week I was the nurse, I was the psychologist, I was the police officer,
Oh,
I was a truant officer because I was looking for a student who hadn't been coming to school. I was
what?
the social worker. I was the caregiver. I was the mediator.
Mm.
Did I forget the rest of referee? Baby, I had to order me some whistles. I was the referee. Um, yeah.
Wow.
So I think that was about 8 or 9 hats right there, and I didn't even say educator.
I'm gonna say you.
Wow.
So
Oh yeah.
it's yeah, but guys, I love it every single day. I haven't gotten to where I hadn't woken up and not loved it yet. Something about it, I love it, but I do know that I'm supposed to be doing it. And I teach in a district in a demographics where I know that everybody doesn't want to teach there, and not everybody can teach there, and people aren't really willing to do the work, because there are times when I turn on the TV and I see some of my students in handcuffs, or I see their mugshots, or it's been a few years, but it gets scary when I read, like this morning I woke up, there was a shooting here. And sometimes I get scared to read the news because those students that I taught 8 years ago, they graduated in May.
Mm.
So they're of age, they're 17, 18, where they can be arrested and charged as an adult.
Mm.
And so and it's scary. I have one right now who actually was with Marquise at the same classroom, same opportunity, and unfortunately now he's still in county jail fighting
Oh.
some very heavy stuff. And and reach out to mom, and I really try to advocate. And Mothers for Sons was birthed through my son being incarcerated at 17 years old, and my husband, guys, just contrary to popular belief, not all Black people have been arrested. Not all Black people have been to jail. Guys, we didn't know what to do because it had not hit our household. It had not been a part of our life. It had not been a part of any of our friends. And so, again, like you say, you raise your kids up, they make choices that are not good choices,
Mhm.
and there's consequences to that. And I had just started teaching. I believe I was in my second year of teaching, and my son got arrested that summer. And just the amount of people who said negative stuff, and I tried not to go on social media and read it. My sister, we had left, and just our vacation was already planned, and I ended up leaving my son. It was the hardest thing I had to do. and she caught me that night on the computer reading some of the comments. But so many teachers were in those comments taking up for
Mm,
my son, advocating for my son, speaking out for my son. He had never been in trouble in school. He had never so much had a referral or been to the office. I think the only infraction he got was his ID card or something, his ID. Um, he just, and after so many infractions, sometimes you have to go to Saturday, what we call Saturday sack, and, do Saturday detention and stuff. And I
mm.
just think that um, he got caught up in a crowd. Um, like I said, we always had a house full of kids, but I think it got to where certain kids, certain young men, he didn't bring here
It's
because I
tough.
know he know I wouldn't approve. He didn't bring
Yep.
here. If I saw them today out on the street, I couldn't name them. I couldn't tell you what they look like.
Yep.
The night when they all ran off and left him to be the only one arrested, I couldn't tell you their names. Hell, some of them he couldn't tell you their names because guys hang out and they roll. This was somebody. Oh, this my money. This is so and so. But your main one or your main friend, they got friends and friends, and
Mm,
so guys are different from girls, and the judge didn't seem to understand that. She, said, well, he was the oldest, which he may have been, but he wasn't doing the most. It was some of the younger ones. They were already slinging, they were already on the corners, they were already doing stuff. Some of them had already robbed stores before, and so he's in the car with the one that he knows, and then he bring two or three other. So what you mean that you don't know their names? But the females, I'm gonna have to lighten the air a little bit so I won't start crying. But females, baby, we know our friends' first and last name, even their middle name, their date of birth, how many boys they done dated, you know,
yep.
their sign, their Gemini, their sign, their astrology. We know it all. But guys just don't. Am I right? Guys don't do all that.
No,
You
we
know,
don't.
Yeah,
until you're friends for a long time.
Until you get older. Because
yeah,
when you get older, you just it should have clicked and said, "Hey, I can't do what I used to do when I was younger.
Yeah.
Can't hang over." By then, and I'm not gonna lie, it took me. I'm 45 now, so I'm gonna say it took me about almost 40 to start really seeing. Whoa, I need to
Yeah.
change this, because
Yeah.
if not, I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
But I actually came back and told both of my parents. I wish I would have listened. I would have saved my own self from so much heartache and pain.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I had to learn it.
Yeah. And he just I think there's an a nonprofit that I support, Second Look, Epicenter Ministries and Second Look. And when I was really just kind of finding that support, Mothers for Sons, and I have a private Facebook group that we'll be doing a podcast or really like a webinar or whatever tomorrow on that channel. And it's amazing how the group has grown. I don't have time or make the time to really manage it like I would, but I do go in and connect, and people are constantly joining because what I realized, and you can hear it on my YouTube channel as well, and you can go back and I'll give you the link, DJ and Rob, so you guys can share that and post that because a lot of stories are on there, and especially in those first few days of
Mm,
really going through, and I felt like it had to be done for somebody else because number one, we did not know what to do when our child was arrested, and that's some things that I advocate for now. What do you do? Do you know what to do when your teen is arrested? Do you know the age accountability for your state? Texas is one of five, maybe four. I think another state changed it, but at the time of my son, it was five. I think it's down to four now. There were Texas and three other states are the only ones that age of accountability is 17. So
mm,
at 17, you can't get married, you can't smoke, you can't drink, you can't I don't, you can't buy a gun.
Yeah.
Um, you can't join the military, but you can go to prison.
Wow.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, you can go to prison, and they don't let you talk to them because they say they are an adult. So that night, 3, 4 in the morning, we get a call from one of my son's friends and said he thinks Isaiah has been arrested. And we call every number we could think of, we call, and they didn't tell my husband anything. And they said, "Oh, finally we find out where he is." And they said, "Oh, he's 17, we can't talk to you, you know." And they didn't talk to my husband. So luckily, again, one of the same little boys that used to come over and hang out with my older with Isaiah, matter of fact, his son's a police I mean his dad's police officer.
Mm,
And they had hung out in maybe elementary school, maybe junior high. But I remember where they lived because he used to go over there all the time because they had a pool and right here in the neighborhood. And I called my friend who had moved away and I said, "Girl, what street did they live on?" I said, "I think I'm on the street, but I can't remember the house." And so I'm out sitting outside of the house that I think that it is. And I'm talking to her on the phone and I'm looking around and she said, "I think you're at the right house. What's the address?" And blah, blah. And I told her. And so I go up and I knock on the door. Do you know that man answered the phone or answered the door with his gun?
Oh.
First of all, it's 6 in the morning. I
Mm-hmm.
had wait, the sun had just come up. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't know what to do. He saw me driving up and down, and then he saw me sitting in front of the house. So of course, quite naturally, instinct. So when he opened the door, he had his gun down at his side, and then he looked and he said, "Tell me it's not true." When he saw me and realized who I was, a couple hours earlier, that 4 morning, 3, 4 in the morning, he saw his name come out on the blotter report
mm,
or on his radio or whatever they get. When he seen my baby's name, he said, I just kept telling myself, "No, it's not. It's a different kid. It's a different kid." But you know, our name is not common at all. And so he came out on the front porch and he made some phone calls. And he said, "Hey, I need this family to be able to see their son, talk to him, find out what's going on. Tell me what's going on." And so he had the guy on speaker, his cop, his buddy, and they called around until they told me where they were. And I left, and I knew where to go. We knew where to go after that, and everything. And we were just devastated, scared, disappointed, um, bewildered, confused. I mean, every emotion you could think of. And it was the scariest thing. And looking back now, it's been almost, well, it's almost 6 years. Looking back at it now, I didn't know how I was going to survive. I didn't know how I was going to make it. But I started thinking about later on as Mothers for Sons became involved in nonprofit, and I got the book. I mean, everybody's wanting to charge an arm and a leg. I didn't have the money to do it, so I ordered a book from the lawyers that produce the books on nonprofit and stuff, and I sat down, and it took me probably almost a year, not quite a year. I wrote I wrote the articles, and I put everything together myself from just the book and Googling and YouTube and just trying to figure. And it still costs $800 to file it, but I could not pay anybody 1,600, 2,000, 20. Somebody was charging $2,500 to put together your nonprofit, and I just could not. And again, I ran across. I'm telling you, if when you're in situations, just stay aware, keep your head up, because people started coming into my path to help me and to help us. And there's a school here, academy here. They had done their nonprofit. She let me borrow their paperwork and bring it home and go through it page by page just to see that I was doing it correctly, because I started Googling. Do you know that there are support groups, millions of them, for children whose parents are incarcerated? But I think I may have found a handful of organizations that are for parents who have children incarcerated.
Mm.
There was nothing, nothing at all. And so that's how Mothers for Sons was born. And my husband actually, just in passing, something was going on with Isaiah, and we were, I don't know, with the lawyer or so whatever we were doing, and I was just fretting. I was crying. I was fretting. And I was like, I'm sorry, babe. I said, I am like losing it. He said, well, you know how mothers are for their sons. And so that's how I ended up with the name Mothers for Sons. And yes, we are. We are some type of way about our babies, especially our boys. But I think that for my son just to go through what he's gone through, woo, you're gonna have to interview him when he comes home. He'll
Definitely.
be home soon. You're gonna have to interview him when he comes home, because I'm telling you. Oh, and what I was gonna say about the lady at Epicenter Ministries, Second Look, they go and they advocate for kids who were arrested and tried as adults as 12, 13, 14-year olds, because those exist too. And they actually go to prison, like big folks prison, at 14, 15, depending on the crime. So when they're certified adults, they will go in with adults.
That is
And
cool.
my
Whoa.
son was 17, and they had a YOP at the first unit he was at, and they shut it down because of the some shady stuff that was going on there. But he was able to get his GED, and get this, he was 4 months. He was 4 months, so he left in December. May, he was 4 months from graduating his senior year. He was a
Wow.
senior, and so he got finished his GED while in YOP, and some other programs that they need to finish. And she told me this. She said, the way you talk about your son and some of the letters that I would share and the things that he would write, he never, ever blamed anybody else for his situation.
Mm.
She said the ones that go through incarceration the best are the ones who take ownership and responsibility for their actions. But the ones that are constantly blaming everybody else, it wasn't my fault, and that, now don't mind you, there are a lot of people, men especially of color, sitting in prison who did not commit any crime. And we find out 20, 30, 40 years later after they've already served. So there are some that will tell you that they weren't there, they didn't do it. But my son was there. He did participate, and he'll tell you he did. And he'll tell you it's the most stupidest thing he ever did. But he has gone through this process with other young men, getting on the phone and telling me. One called me the other day and he said, Mama, thank you for the phone number for the lawyer that you sent. I gave it to my mama, and she looked into it, and there's some stuff that's jacked up with my paperwork. It wasn't supposed to be like that. And the lawyer's looking into it, and I should be able to go home next year. And he said, I don't know why Isaiah's here, but he said, maybe he's here for me. He said, because I'm telling you, he said, the wisdom and the things that he said, man, he keeps me out of trouble. He said, he talks to me. He tells me things. He said, he got an old soul, mama. He got an old soul. And I said, yeah, he does. He has an old soul. Because sometimes he'll call me and get on to me about stuff. I start complaining about stuff. He said, now, mama, when did you start caring about that?
Yeah.
When did
Huh.
you start? And so, I know I'm talking. I know y'all had questions or whatever, but I just, I just want to say that's probably one of the hardest things, besides losing a child,
Yeah.
is a child that's incarcerated. It's hard. And there's nobody really to talk to about it. Nobody gets it. There's a few people in my circle and people that I teach with that may or may not know. I don't care and they don't ask. And there are a couple of really good colleagues of mine that every now they'll pull me aside and they say, I just want to let you know I'm praying. Or I may see some of his teachers, and they will always ask about him, and some maybe give me money to put on his books, and so it's just, because I think that people deep down inside, they can still see people make a mistake, but there's still goodness there. There's still, you know, a chance and a way that if there's a little bit of compassion, a little bit of empathy, that that person can make a change and turn around and come back for the better. And I say that a lot too about my students and different ones. Like I say, one that's been caught up, I think the longest. Oh my God, he's just a beautiful young man. Just the opportunities, and he's just falling in with the wrong crowd and the wrong people, and you know, and and just having law enforcement basically waiting till he
Mm,
turned 17. And they told him that.
Wow.
They told him that. And they did it.
that's terrible. Thank,
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that with us. We really appreciate you sharing that story and sharing it with everybody. Because there is some people that can relate, and we can get into that once we or whatever like that. Um, just since you started this, is there anything like that you're currently offering through your nonprofit for others, and how can they reach out to you if they need any resources, and do you offer any of
Yes, I like I say currently I try I would right now I have a fundraiser going on through Bonfire. It's t-shirts and hoodies and things like that. You guys would share the link and everything, but fundraising because this couple of years ago I hadn't done it in a while, but just being able to, that was before they changed how you use the phone now and how people are able to call and connect and things like that, calling cards and things like that, or cards that families could have that was loaded with money so they could call their loved ones and things like that, or have their loved ones call them and put that money towards stuff. So I really would like this year just being able to have families being able to connect with their loved ones. You guys, I don't know why they cut out. You can't send physical letters anymore without it going through now for Texas
uh,
through a central office. So there's an address that you use. I think you put the inmate's name, and we have tablets now, so I'm a little out of touch, but I posted it on my Facebook page in my group. But you put their name and their number, but you put a generic address, and I believe it goes to Huntsville. They go through the mail, screen it and everything, and then they send it out to the unit. So now they're coming up with tablets. There are so many. It started out in county jails first, and now it's in a lot of the larger prisons where the inmates have tablets.
yeah,
And so they're able to write electronically. Everything's still screened, of course, but you can almost get it real time and stuff. And so you can email through that way, send messages through that way. Calling is different now, so people need to go back to that directive that came out. I believe it started September 1st, but now they have to go through friends and family, sign up and get an account to be able to call. And now you can't wait to be billed. You have to have the phone preloaded. You have to have money on there already for them to make a phone call.
that's
It's changing a lot. And I know I'll give out a lot of that information tomorrow night when I'm on with the parents in our private group. If anybody likes to join, it's Parents of Incarcerated Sons and Daughters. It's on Facebook. It is private. You do have to answer a few questions because what we share, and even some things I shared tonight, I didn't go really into too much detail. but the things that we share within our group, it needs to remain private. So not just anybody can get in the group. So you better know if you want to join. I'm looking at your Facebook, at stuff you post, your political views. You know, I'm snooping, and so I feel like if you come into the group and you're not a good fit, then you know, you will be removed. And so, because I can't have people's private information and things that they share, because we did and the reason why I'm doing saying that is because it may have been 3 or 4 years ago, I did an open talk like we're gonna do tomorrow. It was my fault. I put the link out early and I put it out outside the group, so I put it in the events.
Mm-hmm.
Someone got in, and the whole time we were logging in, there was a picture up of a woman who I thought was part of the guest, and they were whispering. They were saying the N word. They were saying nasty, awful stuff. And I believe it was right around the time, probably of COVID or right after, when Zoom was like coming on the scene and really big. And so now it's really guarded. And I like the way you did that tonight too, DJ. You know, you give that link right before, because a lot of things could happen, or if you post it in certain places. But given that, now DJ, you are Kevin, or is Kevin someone else? You are
That's
Kevin.
me.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
I like the way you did that. And so in the morning, my private group will get the link for tomorrow in the private group. I'm not going to post it anywhere else because I will never go. It was embarrassing. I had a lady from San Antonio who was like a public figure in San Antonio. I had the lady from Epicenter Ministries. You know, I had a little panel that I had invited, and so it was kind of embarrassing for them to get on and to do that. But we finally got them kicked out, and nonetheless, and logged out, and I think and came back in, and it was fine. But so it's private group now. Mothers for Sons Facebook page is open for everyone. You can go in there and you can find information. I post articles, information that's happening through TDCJ, and there's other stuff too, and then the fundraiser as well. So this year my desire for the holidays would be a way for families to get donations, monetary donations, or even if they're just like gift cards, where they can take those gift cards and they can use those to load up, and so their loved ones can call home.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That is really dope.
And next year, when I get enough money, I would love to go down to Bell County. We can raise enough money. I would love to go to Bell County and bail some folks out that's just sitting there on small bail and small, just stupid stuff, misdemeanor, so
Yeah.
they can be home for Mother's Day.
Okay.
So I'd like to do
I
that next
I
week.
I would come down there, but me and Bill County don't get along. I don't want to see they walls no more.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I hear
sat
you.
in there too long. I don't want to see they walls no more.
Yes, and look at you now. I'm telling you, there's there's testimony to be had, and there's things to be shared. And I would love to come back and maybe go a little bit deeper into
Oh yes, most
things like that.
definitely.
And any other questions you have? I have the gift of gab, so I kind of like took over the interview, but I
It's
think
no
that,
problem.
yeah. So
We learn from people that go through things. If we be quiet and listen,
Right.
that's how you learn.
yes, yeah,
And
okay,
that's what I did. Hey,
Right.
you told me stuff I didn't know nothing about. Like,
yeah, yeah.
wow,
Hmm.
that's deep. And yeah, that Mary Gibson, that's my wife. She
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you, Miss Gibson, and thank you for your prayers. And you guys keep us in your prayers, and all the young people out there. And if there's one thing, last thing I had to say, if there was some young people that ever came across this video, guys, stop lining these walls and stop giving away generational wealth. Stop giving away our family's legacy. Some families are not making it, but when one is incarcerated, we're all incarcerated.
Yep.
Stop giving this money to these folks because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry and we don't get a dime, but we're funding out, and when they were coming out with these pods and drinking the hot sauce and the cinnamon and all that, why not start a challenge? Why not have a 30-day challenge of not getting arrested?
Mm.
Mm.
The system would go broke. Think about it. For 30 days, if no one was arrested, 30 days, just 30 days in any
Mm.
county, 30
Like,
days, they go broke.
I like that.
Let them come find you. Don't you find them. And that's what we're doing. We're driving with, oh, y'all, I'm sorry. We're driving without registration. We driving fast.
No
We,
license.
we smoking weed in the car.
Insurance.
No insurance.
No
Sticker
license.
expired.
Suspended license. Mm.
Suspended. Like, if you don't have all those things, don't be out on the street and then get pulled over. And then you got things that are out there, warrants,
Yeah.
things like that, that guys, we're just giving money away.
True.
Giving money away. And we are paying taxes on the very asses that's incarcerated. How does that work?
Man.
I'm a
It's,
taxpayer funding the bed that my son is sleeping in, plus funding whatever else he needs out of pocket.
yep.
Think about that.
Yep.
Man.
Message.
For real. That's a deep message.
Yeah.
Y'all should really take heed. Um,
Mhm.
Boy, I never thought I'd say that. Sound like my mama now.
Yeah.
Take heed.
Yep. And they down there, they locked up and eating ramen. We can get ramen for a few cents. Well, it's gone up a little bit, but the last time I did a ecom for him, um, the little packs of it was a pack of red beans and rice, and those sealed, almost look like MRE packages or whatever. Guess how much?
Mhm.
$4.95.
Wow.
Four
That is
ninety five. One
Man.
can of soda. One can of soda is up to like $1 now. Bottled water. They got to pay for bottled water. They got to pay for toilet paper. I mean, they have toilet paper, but if you want extra,
that's terrible.
yeah. But some of the, like the soups and stuff, you know,
Man.
and then they limit on how many you can get. So, but it's expensive.
Expensive.
It's real expensive.
Man.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, I know I hate to hear all that, and I know that I'm definitely gonna be praying because, man, I feel like nobody need to be in jail. They need to come
Mhm.
on. I,
Yeah. And
but
I mean, with this day and age, and I think we're at an hour. Don't take up y'all's time. Y'all just tell me when you want to cut it off. But I
oh
think with this day and age, nobody should want to get arrested or even have any type of interaction with law enforcement because them folks are crazy, and you just don't know what's going to happen. But we continually, I say we because we're all part of the community. We continuously put ourselves out there, and
yeah,
it's like we don't learn from it. We don't learn from, and then you got sitting up listening to these rappers and these songs and stuff about catching a case, and and going, and these young people, you know, the,
say
the students, the resource officers, sometimes they come by and walk through the school, and the kids be saying little stuff, and I think they got in trouble one day. They were making little threats and stuff like that, and so the resource officer trying to be a little mentor and talking to the kids, and one of them jokers said, it's okay, we ain't scared, we can do 90 days in juvie." Where are they
Nah.
getting that from? Where are they getting that from?
you don't want that.
On no
We
part
can,
of
we can do 90 days in juvie. Juvie is one of I'd rather had seen my son go through YOP than to be in juvie. And sure enough, when he was in YOP, He said, Mama, I was so scared when he turned 18. I said, you getting ready to go in General Pop? He said, Mama, I'm ready.
Ah,
He said, these jokers crazy. He said, these youngsters wild. And he said, I am ready to go. I'm ready to go and get with some of these old cats because he said, these kids are crazy. He was ready to go.
that
They
is
got something to prove, and they
And I
really
couldn't
don't
understand
understand.
it. I couldn't understand it, but now I see
Mm.
it. He's like, Mom, I'd rather be with these old heads than with these young people. They do, he said, Mama, they do too much.
that's
Do too much.
Man, that's who
Yeah.
I be with. but
Yeah.
but yeah, I definitely we gotta get you and your son on here for sure. And I gotta get you back on here because
Okay.
I got a whole lot more questions.
Okay. All right. Well, we
but
can
I
always do a part two.
oh yes we will, and the next time we gonna have to figure out a way to not let you cry on here.
Yeah, I just well, usually it's worse than that, but but I don't even. How did you find me? I don't even. I didn't. I was so
Well,
busy.
we have common friends.
Okay. Okay.
Michael,
Mhm.
Tony, Wealth
Okay,
is
Tony.
Gangster.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
See, she didn't even see. I be watching.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
like you say, I go check resume.
yeah,
Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
I
that,
thank you. You really help, a lot of people I know see, and I'm gonna make sure I cut this up because yeah, it was a lot of gems being dropped off in here today.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Ron, I appreciate you as well. And then y'all call it Car Chronicles, so y'all are really interviewing me in your car.
yep.
yes, ma'am.
That I love it. That is so genius. So when I come back, I'm gonna have to be in my car, okay?
Nah, you don't have to be in your
No, I
car.
want to match. I want to match the scene. I want to match the setting. So
Like energy.
yeah, yeah. So I have my little
You
phone
good.
propped up, and we'll do an actual Car Chronicles.
Car Chronicles.
Yeah. What's
See
what?
what
Yeah.
you doing, Rob. We go. See,
Hey,
you
I
grounded.
all the time. Hey, go have them get in the car. That's what we do. So yeah.
Yes, that is so. Cause see, I thought I know Rob was in the car, but I didn't think you were in the car. And then I look up, there's your handle up there. I can see your handle now above you, and I was thinking you were just sitting on. Yeah, that is cool. That's a great idea. Yeah,
Yep, I'm in the car.
yeah. Well, thank you guys so much.
Well, I thank you, and I'm praying for you, your son. It sounds like he on top of his game. He gonna be ready for the world
Yeah,
when he get
yeah,
here. So
yeah.
I tell him,
We're putting some things in place, so when he comes home, he'll be able to get started, and that's what I talk to every family and advise every family to do that. If it be $25, $50 a month, $50 is good if you can do more, but at least $50 a month. And if families could come in and pitch in and just open up an account, nobody touches, and put that money in there because people like Sandra Bland,
mhm,
she should have been coming home. But
yeah,
because she had to wait for money or she had to wait for the weekend, and then to hear that it was only like $500 and nobody had that,
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, that's terrible.
think about that.
Yeah.
And you don't want your loved one to be incarcerated and they don't have any money because
yep,
it's not good. You cannot have them dependent on anybody inside because it's not good.
Pip said it. He said if they in jail, commissary is very necessary.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Like cash.
Yeah.
Yep, for real,
Yes,
man.
and my son has been doing it from day one, and I don't think he cares if he gets in trouble. But he said, "Mama, I got a number. I want you to text. Can you please text these people's parents or dad or somebody and ask them if they can put money on so and so's book?"
Wow.
Yeah.
Hell, I've even done it a time. I said, "Baby, how much they need?" I've even done it a time or two. And if you're watching this and shut it down, well, then shame on you. I don't know who they were when it was, and I'll deny it if you ask me. But hey, we got to survive, and families, we got to come together. Yo, cousins, yo, you out there getting Okay, yeah, we need to do part two before I say something I don't need to be
Yeah,
saying.
we gonna set that up. Me and I'm gonna get with you on the how you said the podcast. I'm gonna send you some stuff on that to
Okay.
help you. You know, I don't have no problem giving the game away. I got you.
Okay, thank you.
I
Thank you.
got some
Thank
connect.
you. I like this setup too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn this.
you.
Yeah,
I got you. I take
Okay.
care.
All right, guys,
But
y'all please stay in touch and
oh, most definitely.
all righty. And talk to you again soon.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night,
All right.
man. Bye bye.
Bye.
Man, that was a good show, y'all. Say we gotta get part two in. Say, man, I learned a lot, bro. I'm understanding a lot of stuff, and I definitely want to talk to her more.
definitely, definitely. Definitely get her involved and more in the community. I think people need those type of resources. I know some close people personally that experienced that and could have definitely used probably some reach out and some support the same way. So definitely got to get her back on and go check her out, man. That's something that's definitely needed for a lot of people who have family members incarcerated. So definitely.
Already. Say, man, we up out of here. Tell your mama, your cousin, auntie, everybody go subscribe. Truth be told, say, man, shelter share. Say, we up in here, man. Believe that, Miss Carla Fears. Thank you very much for coming on the show, and we out.